Okay, folks, get this. The date is June 9th, 2025. We're in Beijing. The scene is a grand private dinner. You've got former President Donald Trump sitting down with Chinese President Xi Jinping and First Lady Peng Liyuan. The air is probably thick with talk of trade, policy, and all that serious stuff. But then, something totally unexpected happens. Trump stands up and says he has a special surprise. He introduces his granddaughter, Arabella Kushner. Imagine the room getting quiet, all eyes turn to this young girl. It's a moment that changes the whole mood. You can just feel the shift from high-stakes politics to something much more personal and human. So, Arabella steps forward. No teleprompter, no cue cards, just pure confidence. She looks right at President Xi and First Lady Peng and begins to sing. And get this, she's singing a traditional children's song in perfect Mandarin. It's not just a few words she memorized. You can tell she really knows the language. The melody fills the room, this sweet, innocent voice cutting through all the political tension. It was a brave thing to do. I mean, performing for world leaders? That's a tough crowd. But she handled it like a total pro, with so much poise and respect. It was one of those moments that you just know people will be talking about for a long, long time. The reaction was just incredible. President Xi, who is often seen as very serious and stoic, broke into a huge smile. You could see he was genuinely touched by the performance. He was nodding along to the music, completely captivated. When Arabella finished her song, the entire room just erupted in applause. It wasn't just polite clapping, it was warm and heartfelt. You could tell everyone there knew they had just witnessed something special, a real moment of connection. It was a beautiful scene. A reminder that even in the most formal settings, a simple act of kindness can make a huge impact on everyone. After the applause died down, President Xi turned to Trump. He had this big smile on his face and said something really amazing. He told him, "This is a gesture of true respect for Chinese culture. She has done very well. You must be proud." Wow, getting that kind of praise from a world leader is a huge deal. It showed that the gesture was received exactly as it was intended, as a sign of friendship and admiration for their culture. It was a perfect example of how a small, personal moment can become a powerful diplomatic tool, building a bridge where you least expect it. It was just a fantastic moment. Now, if this whole scene feels a little familiar, you're not wrong. This wasn't the first time Arabella became a mini ambassador to China. This amazing live performance in 2025 was actually a direct callback to a similar event back in 2017. During Trump's state visit to China that year, he showed President Xi and First Lady Peng a pre-recorded video. In the video, a much younger Arabella, just 5 years old, stood in a beautiful Chinese-style dress. She greeted them as Grandpa Xi and Grandma Peng, which is just adorable. Then she recited ancient Chinese poetry and sang in Mandarin. It was a huge hit. That 2017 video went absolutely viral in China. People over there couldn't get enough of it. They were so impressed that the granddaughter of the US president was taking the time to learn their language and their culture. It was seen as a major sign of respect. Chinese state media even called her a small messenger of Sino-American friendship. That little video did more for soft power than a dozen political speeches ever could. It showed a different side of the American first family, one that was curious and engaged with the world. It was a simple, brilliant move that won over millions of hearts. The Chinese Foreign Ministry at the time praised Arabella, and President Xi himself gave her performance an A+. You can't get a better grade than that. It became a symbol of potential friendship between the two powerful nations. People in China started talking about how her Mandarin skills, which she reportedly started learning from her nanny as an infant, were a hopeful sign for the future. It wasn't just a cute video, it was a diplomatic triumph. It humanized the relationship between the two countries and showed that connections could be built on shared cultural appreciation. It was a moment of pure goodwill. So when Arabella performed live in 2025, it carried all that history with it. It wasn't just a one-off gesture. It was a continuation of a story of friendship that began years earlier. It showed a long-term commitment to that cultural connection. For the Chinese leaders in the room, it must have felt like seeing a family friend again. They had watched her grow from that little girl in the video to the confident young woman singing before them. This history made the 2025 performance even more powerful and meaningful, turning a simple song into a symbol of enduring respect and a shared past. So why does something like this matter so much? In the world of international relations, which is usually all about tough negotiations and strategic posturing, these small human moments can be incredibly powerful. Experts call it soft diplomacy, and it's all about building connections through culture, values, and personal relationships. A song, a poem, or even just showing an interest in another country's language can sometimes open doors that formal meetings can't. It's about showing that you see the other side not just as a political rival, but as people with a rich history and culture worth celebrating. Dr. Li Chen, a political analyst from Tsinghua University in Beijing, put it perfectly. He said that in China, small gestures carry great meaning. He explained that having Trump's granddaughter perform in Mandarin wasn't just about showing off her language skills. It was a move that helped to humanize the US-China relationship. It takes the focus away from conflict and puts it on common ground. It says, hey, we might disagree on some things, but we can still appreciate and respect each other's heritage. It's a way of building trust from the ground up, one song at a time. It's pretty smart when you think about it. Think about it this way. Diplomacy is often like a really formal, stiff dance. Everyone is following strict rules and trying not to step on anyone's toes. A moment like Arabella singing is like someone suddenly playing a fun, familiar song that everyone knows. It breaks the tension and reminds everyone that they're all human. It taps into the power of family, which is a universal value. Every parent or grandparent in that room, no matter what country they were from, could relate to the pride of seeing a child perform. It creates an emotional bond that goes beyond politics. This kind of cultural diplomacy is especially important when relations are strained. When governments are arguing about trade deficits or military presence, a gesture of goodwill can act as a safety valve. It reminds both sides that there's more to their relationship than just their disagreements. Chinese state media even wrote an editorial calling the performance a bridge of language, family, and goodwill. That's a powerful statement. It shows that these moments aren't just fluff. They're seen as genuine efforts to build understanding and maintain a connection, even during the toughest of times. Of course, a big event like this gets people talking all over the world, and everyone has a different take. In China, the reaction was overwhelmingly positive. The performance was seen as a heartwarming and respectful gesture. On social media and in news reports, people praised Arabella's skills and the family's effort to engage with their culture. It reinforced the positive image she had built back in 2017. For many in China, it was a welcome sign of warmth and a hopeful signal that a better relationship with the US was possible. It was a clear diplomatic win from their perspective. Back home in the United States, however, the reactions were much more divided. It was a real mix. Supporters of former President Trump saw it as a brilliant and charming move. They praised it as an example of his unique brand of personal diplomacy, using his family's charm to build relationships in a way that traditional politicians can't. They saw it as a savvy way to smooth things over and show a softer side on the world stage. For them, it was proof that Trump knows how to connect with world leaders on a personal level, which they see as a major strength. On the other side, you had the critics. They weren't so impressed. Some argued that a cute song, no matter how well performed, was just a distraction. They worried that these feel-good moments were being used to gloss over the very serious issues between the US and China, like trade imbalances, human rights concerns, and geopolitical tensions over Taiwan. They felt that a song shouldn't take the focus off of the tough conversations that needed to happen. Some even suggested it was a calculated move to rebrand Trump's image, possibly with an eye on a future political campaign. But in the end, no matter what the critics or supporters say, you can't deny the power of the moment itself. In a world that often feels deeply divided, a simple act of sharing and respect can still create a ripple of goodwill. It reminds us that behind the headlines and the political battles, we are all just people. A child's song may not solve complex global problems, but it can build a small bridge of understanding. And sometimes, a small bridge is exactly what you need to start a much longer journey toward friendship and peace. It's a great reminder that kindness is a language everyone understands.